Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to another episode of Trudge Report. This is a recovery-based podcast, but don't worry, if you're not sober or not ready to be sober or having delusions of grandeur like Corey, we talk about plenty of other things, including sports, trending topics, and a good bit of nonsense. My name is Sean and I am your host. I'm joined by my good friends and fellow trudgers. Please remember to listen on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Our videos will be posted each week, so you can watch episodes on YouTube and Facebook. But as always, please be sure to download on your listening platforms. Remember to like and subscribe on all social media outlets with the handle @TrudgeReportPod. We are brought to you by Stella Mix Podcast Management and our wonderful producer and editor, Miss Janine Stella. Gentlemen, good evening. Welcome, or happy recording Monday. I'll go real quick on my screen the way I see you. Mr. G.A. Phillips in the Great Midwest. How are you this evening?
I'm very well. Coming off of an extended weekend, celebrating America and
America.
Yeah, doing pretty good, man. We moved houses after the holiday, so that's always a lot of fun. Getting
your background does look a little different.
Doesn't it? Yes. So yeah, move went pretty well, and yeah, man, looking forward to heading over to PA, seeing a couple of you fine gentlemen this upcoming weekend.
Not me.
Nice little, not Corey, man. That really hurts my heart.
There's still time, Corey.
There is still time.
You guys are gonna have.
You've made more happen with less before. I've witnessed it.
Very
so.
True.
And just want to give a quick shout out to those residents of Kerrville, Texas. I'm sure everybody's heard, man. It's just a horrible situation they're going through down there. People lost family members. People are still looking for family members. So yeah, prayers up for those people, man, that are going through.
Dude, I was crying. I couldn't even watch it this morning when I was watching the news. Like, I was crying. The little kids. Couldn't even watch it. Had to switch back to tennis.
Terrible.
Yeah, I opted out as well. I was like,
couldn't even watch it.
Yeah.
But yes, prayers up for them. Definitely, 100%. Good stuff. Bill, world traveler, he's been gallivanting around Europe. Welcome back. How are you, sir? How was your trip?
Trip was great. Yeah, I had a fantastic time.
Where did you all go? It wasn't just Italy, because you had pictures from other countries, right?
Bulgaria. I went to Bulgaria for a wedding. That was a lot of fun.
Damn.
Bulgarians know how to party.
Bulgarians. Holy shit.
It was in the woods at a ski resort.
They also know how to hide bodies too, but that's
also like, it's funny because, like, no joke, like when you go to Italy, no offense to people from Bulgaria. I mean, Italy is one of the most beautiful countries in the world, but Bulgaria, I mean, you see a lot of in the cities remnants of the communist structures.
It's the Eastern
things
Bloc,
are very just built the same over and over again, you know. And then like a lot of the mountainside,
like the architecture, you mean?
Yeah, it's looks prisonish. I mean, it's just prisonish, and but there are a lot of beautiful parts to the city that Sofia, the capital. But yeah, there was just parts where you're like, wow, man, this is just, I can see I don't know if you ever heard, but like people say like the architecture from like communism, those eras and like Chinese and things like that are just very repetitive.
Very basic. Yeah.
Yeah. Just very bland. So
basically Italy has way better architecture.
But I was in Italy first. So then I get off and I'm like, what the
and then you got shipped to Chernobyl.
Yeah. Well, no, that was cool. The ski resort and all that. So apparently the king, the dictator or something used to hang out over there. So all that was really, really nice. So that was cool. And then went on the way into Florence and took a train to Lucca and saw my family over there. And that
as of the De Lucas.
That's right. The ancestry, the bloodline. My great grandmother has a statue not of her, but she modeled for the statue at one of the churches there. And to this day, they pray for miracles to that church. So to that statue, in that church. So it is near and dear because my uncle piloted a student exchange program between Lucca and Pittsburgh. So he was responsible for a lot of back and forth there and a lot of community building, which was really cool because genuinely I always make jokes that he's the guy that talks Italian to the waiter at Olive Garden or whatever, but he genuinely has built like strong relations in another language, albeit our ancestry. But I mean, there was 40 people from the town at his wedding anniversary, so huge shout out to him for his 55th wedding anniversary and his wife Susan. And even one of the residents showed up. It was this lady. She must have been like 90 years old. Hadn't been out of her house in like 2 or 3 months, but insisted on showing up for this event. And,
wow.
and another town person's the daughter was a fantastic singer. She got up and sang. It was really cool. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I was grateful to be there. It was a humbling experience. And
your Uncle Henry really has done a lot of things in his life.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Seasoned man. What we really all want to know, Bill, is I'm sure the sights were beautiful and the people were nice. What's up with the pizza, or the za, as we like to call it?
I'm supposed to have some right now.
Yeah, what do we got? I need a El Presidente style score.
I give it everything the thing is the range is higher. There's no garbage. So everything is 7 and up.
The floor is higher, right?
Yeah. But the floor is higher, but I didn't find, maybe it's there and I didn't get it, but it was all like 7 to 8.5. There was nothing. A lot of it, they don't serve it heated, which I don't like it super heated anyway. Real heavy topping, which I don't know if you knew that though, but like I don't think of it that way, but it's like real heavy topping. Less
really,
and maybe I would say less than half the pies have red sauce on them. Like, or I'm gonna say so only less than half have red sauce. You know what I mean?
So what do they use? The oil?
Yeah, like they'll have like they'll just have ones that are probably really good, but they're just like their olive oil. Because the olive oil there is like fantastic.
Yeah.
You drink that, you like feel good, and just like some tomatoes or
that's called a relapse, sir.
Yeah, and so very good. But we're seasoned here in the U.S., so we know where to get good pizza. The other food there is I mean, I don't know. Man.
I was keeping tabs on you, Bill, and you had some weird shit on your plate, dude.
Our anchovies, I think, Corey.
All kinds of stuff.
But it was delicious. Like I'm not an anchovy guy
because everything's fresh.
Everything is
no
fresh.
Bullshit.
There appeared to be a picture that you put up of something, some kind of pasta, possibly, but it looked like Noah had put it through his Play-Doh machine.
And that I know what you're talking about, right? Yeah. And it was so good, Corey.
Like it
was so good. I can't just like people say it and you're like, yeah, whatever. Like the fruit there is 2 times better than any American fruit. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Like Greg was saying, and when you just mix all like 6 or 7 of those together, and it's just it's unbelievable.
It's amazing what happens when you go to a country and they don't allow the bullshit that we allow to be put in our food.
Yeah.
I don't think you can get like a bad meal there either. Like you'd have to really like search, So there were McDonald's though, because when I got there, there was a McDonald's.
Those are probably even way better than the ones we have too.
Yeah. Even the homeless guys seem to be doing pretty well up there too. I'm like, look at this happy ass homeless guy.
What was the
here.
weather like this time of year?
It was 80s. It was hot.
Okay, so pretty warm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it was hot. It was in Florida hot. I'd call it like PA hot.
Yeah.
Like, hot, but not.
Yeah.
Did you steal a gondola at all?
There was no gondolas. I think you're thinking about Venice, which is the northeastern side of.
Oh, what? They don't gondolas anywhere else but Venice?
Well, this is in central, so there was no body of water to gondola in. So
gondolas do need water, Corey.
You don't fucking need water.
I mean,
and what's the other thing called? The little cart that goes across the mountain.
I think it's called a mountain cart.
That's something else. Someone
Corey,
said the name.
If you want to get a gondola, Corey, and try to ride it on fucking St. Lucie West Boulevard, by all means, feel free. Let me know how that works out.
Don't.
Little urban kayaking for you, dude.
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Actually, so real quick, our producer has been to the same region of Italy you were in. And she would like to tell. She would like to tell a very
herself to the world.
Funny story about herself. Hi, Miss Janine.
Well, hello there, fellas. How you doing this evening?
Good.
Well, I just had to chime in because Florence is my favorite city in the world, and I had to tell you what happened on my honeymoon, which was in 2015. In fact, the best man and one of the bridesmaids in my wedding, it was their 15th wedding anniversary. And so they said, hey, I know it's your honeymoon, but why don't we all do a group trip and just split everything via like Airbnbs to make it cheaper, which was a great idea. We shared the cost. We got to stay in these beautiful, like amazing penthouses. We had a driver. It was great. So maybe like the fourth day in, the other people on our trip started getting sick. And I mean, like really sick, didn't come out of bed for an entire day. Like once we got to Florence, they were sick. Rory and I were not sick. We continued our day. We went out a little bit, did some sightseeing. And then the day we were supposed to wake up to go see Michelangelo's David, I was the most excited I had ever been because that's like in my backyard. It's at the Academia Museum. It's got the most famous sculpture in the world. I was super excited. We didn't have a reservation, so we had to wait like, I don't know, 2.5 hours in the line, but whatever. Wow. So we were staying in an apartment and we went downstairs, got our typical cappuccino and cornetta or cornetto, as they say, a little, pastry. And then we started waiting in line with our friends that were on our trip. And I started not feeling so well. And so we were in the line for 2 hours. So I decided that I was going to get out of line. They were holding the spot. I was walking around. Roy's like, hey, let's get you some water. So I'm walking around. I'm in a leather shop. I'm like, oh God, this leather's great. But the smell is just, everything's getting to me. I'm like, I am not well. Maybe I've caught like something that our friends had caught on the trip. So we get all the way to the front of the line. And when I mean all the way, like the group of people in front of us were 4 Asian tourists that only spoke Mandarin with all their backpacks on. Like we were the next group after them. So we were not getting out of line no matter what. Right. So all of a sudden I'm like, I'm turning blue. I'm looking at colors. And my friend Dawn is behind me and she goes, are you feeling okay? And I put my hand over my mouth and went, and then projectile vomited all over the Asian tourists in front of me.
Hell yeah.
I mean, everywhere. Their backpacks, their hair, they were covered. Then I'm vomiting all over myself, my hair, everything. Meanwhile, there's a trash can 5 feet, and I couldn't even make it to the trash can. So at this point, I am covered. I look like the girl from The Ring.
Yeah.
The Ring. I was covered. Meanwhile, there's all these groups and all these tours are in the plaza. It's in front of like 2,000 people. I uncontrollably vomiting.
Oh.
So we were next to go in. First of all, the Asian tourists were hilarious because they literally, you could hear in Mandarin, they were like, oh, and one of the guys was like, I could tell in Mandarin, he made a gesture like, hey, am I okay? And the girl didn't want to get out of line. So meanwhile, there's vomit all on his backpack. And she's like, meanwhile, like she wasn't getting out of line. So these people walked in to see David with my vomit everywhere. I got into the museum and the first thing I did was like, I got to go to the bathroom. Meanwhile, I'm taking a comb and I'm brushing vomit. Meanwhile, it's packed. I'm brushing vomit out of my hair in the sink. I am washing myself. I reek. I am disgusting. But I got to tell you, the silver lining in this, there's a silver lining. Okay. Number one, I'm glad it didn't happen in front of the statue of David because I would have never been allowed in that museum ever again. Like I would have been like exiled from, can you imagine I'm standing in front of David and then I like projectile vomit on the sculpture? Like it would have been.
It's happened before. I feel like it's happened.
Never in my life have I ever been so mortified and embarrassed. And then the next day, we went on a wine tour and we had to get on a bus and go through these winding hills in Tuscany. And my friends sat behind me because they were too worried that I would vomit on them. Other things happened on that trip, but it was kind of like, what's the name of that movie? Honeymoon or no? With Brittany Murphy and Ashton Kutcher.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking
Where
about.
they have like the honeymoon from hell in Italy.
Yeah.
That was our honeymoon. Like hands down. So many of other things. We could do a whole podcast about it.
Wow.
But anyway, I had to tell that story because Florence is my heart. I love that city. Best city in the world. But on that day, Janine was not at her finest.
I'll tell you
I
what.
will answer any
Just
questions.
married.
What movie
Just
comes
married,
to mind?
yes.
The movie that comes to mind for me is Kill Bill, because you're definitely on some Asian family's revenge pact at the moment. You know, they're kind of you gotta be looking over your shoulder for that one.
Every time we saw an Asian person after that, they were pointing their finger and laughing at me. They're like, "You're the target." It was bad.
Wow.
Bad guys. Anyway,
well, that is what self-confidence, self-assurance looks like. You can tell a story like that about yourself and laugh about it. So thank you, Janine. That was
you're welcome.
You had teased that prior to us starting the show, and Bill took a few guesses, and we didn't quite know where that story was going. But that's wow.
So next time any of you were there, if you're there and you're going into the museum, just think of me, and that's where I was standing before,
Got it.
You'll never
Maybe
forget
there's still
me.
a little bit of left
Residue.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you, Janine.
All right. You're welcome. Stella out.
All right. So that was an extended version of Bill's trip. Corey, real quick, how are you doing?
I'm good,
If
Sean.
you care to tell us?
Yeah, man. I'm good.
Big trip to PA this week.
Yep, big trip this weekend.
Yeah.
Really excited to see all my friends.
Mm-hmm.
And
One room.
God, you guys, I just can't stand when people do things without me. I can't. I don't like it. I don't. Also, I don't know, guy. The only thing I want to say is that I started to delve into my recording journey again, as you guys may know from a picture I sent earlier. And it was as if I needed a reason to feel stupid as shit. I just you turn this fucker on and I'm just like, oh my God, there's so much to learn. But we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated.
For those listening that don't know what Corey's talking about, he is
they know what I'm talking about.
Practicing to become a rapper.
Corey, I propose that
music.
we make a new theme intro song. You and I'll drop some bars. You can sing. We could really whip it up.
There you go.
There you go.
SoundCloud, dude.
I don't know if all the auto tune in the world could help that one.
I can't wait to get in some auto tune.
Very good. All right, guys, let's get right into it. That was fun. Good intro. Bill, welcome back. Good to have everybody on. Greg, so last week we did the Karen Reed trial. Most of the investigation, the circumstances surrounding John O'Keefe's death, all the weird kind of stuff that happened leading up to it and right after it during the first trial. So we're gonna kick it right to Greg, and Greg, you can just kind of either pick up where you left off, or you can do it however you want.
Okay. I mean, I talked a lot last episode. So, and really, in the interest of summing things up, one of the things I did fail to mention, but was kind of like the whole crux of the defense, certainly for the first trial, was that a few, I think it was maybe a week after O'Keefe's death, Karen Reed, and within hours of her arraignment on second-degree murder charges, her attorney, David Yannetti, got an anonymous phone call from a man who claimed to have background in Boston law enforcement, and that guy alleged that Bryan Albert, his nephew, Colin Albert, and at the time, unnamed federal agent who turned out to be Brian Higgins had beaten John O'Keefe to death inside the residence and then dragged his body out onto the lawn. So that was kind of the basis for the entire defense. That guy ended up being revealed as a guy named Stephen Scanlon, who was a local private investigator. And he still stands by that statement that he made to the attorney and gave that same statement to authorities.
Huh.
So, yeah, a little nugget of information. But I mean, really what I wanted to focus on is obviously, you know, unless you've been living under the rock or you just don't care about, you know, these kind of things going on. We know that there was the original trial. The original trial was not prosecuted well. The state or the Commonwealth, as it's known for good old Massachusetts, did not do a very good job. The attorney himself was not the most vibrant or you know, received well in the public auditorium, I should say. And there was just a lot of reasonable doubt thrown in there, and which is why I think it did end up going to a hung jury. When they polled the jury members after that first trial, I guess I should back up. So when they went to deliberations, they were in deliberations for 6 days before they came back to the judge and said that they could not, you know, on a fundamental basis agree. Right. And so a mistrial was declared. After that, 3 of the jurors came out and said, you know, completely, like, we 100% believe that she's not guilty. Several of the other jurors were on the complete other side of it. Hence why you have a hung jury and you have a mistrial. Before the second trial happened, Karen Reed's attorneys tried to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court, get a bunch of the charges dismissed. Every single motion that they made was denied leading up to her second trial, which began April 1st of this year.
Which is pretty quick when it was all said and done. That's pretty quick
Yes.
for that to be completed, you know, the second time around.
Yes. Yeah. You know, because it was July 1st of 2024 was when they declared the first mistrial. So
Right.
within less than a year, they're already kicking off the second trial. So there were new attorneys for the Commonwealth, and she retained her same defense team and added New York-based attorney Robert Alessi and Victoria Brophy George were added to her existing defense team. And basically what the second trial really focused on, yes, there was the whole idea of the police corruption and you know, the chain of evidence was not followed and everything like that. But there were what it was dueling expert testimonies, which largely focused on John O'Keefe's injuries. Could they or could they not have been done by the taillight of a car going in reverse at X amount of velocity and speed? And again, you had experts on both sides of them saying that, you know, vice versa happened, that no, these injuries were not caused by a vehicle. They were not caused by a broken taillight or anything like that. And then you had, you know, experts on one side saying that, yep, unquestionably, yes, this is a vehicular accident. They focused a lot on timelines, cell phone data, all that kind of stuff. And what it eventually led to, and I know that I'm skimming over a lot of stuff here, but what it eventually led to was, again, a 7-day deliberation, and Karen Reed was found not guilty of all of second-degree manslaughter, second-degree murder, manslaughter, and the only thing that she was actually convicted with was operating under the influence, which she fully admitted to. Yeah.
Which I'm sure the judge sentenced her to some recovery meetings for that. Naturally, to get her paper signed.
Perhaps. It says that she received a year's probation. And she will, in addition to that, she will receive outpatient treatment and a loss of license as a standard first-time offense. She is not totally out of the woods yet because the O'Keefe family is suing her for a wrongful death lawsuit. And what some people don't know is that if certain evidence comes up in a civil lawsuit,
they can reopen the criminal lawsuit.
Well, they cannot charge her with these same crimes that she has been.
But they can reopen a criminal lawsuit with a new charge.
Correct. So they can.
But it's also easier. It's easier to convict someone civilly than criminally. It's not the same. It's not the same.
What are they alleging for the wrongful death? Like, how does that? If she was found not guilty, they're still saying she did.
They're saying you were guilty,
well,
but we
you're
can find you
to.
guilty civilly, but not criminally.
That doesn't.
Right.
I need, if you guys could, if anybody knows how to explain that to me, because so the same thing happened with OJ, right? Criminally, he was found not guilty, but then in civil court, he was found responsible or whatever they called it. What's the difference?
What's the quote? It's with a reasonable doubt or shadow of a reasonable doubt. That's the criminal.
I just don't understand.
Metric. Well, I'm trying to explain. That's the metric they hold a criminal to, is meaning like you have to be. It's technically in a criminal case, you have to be guilty by like all
beyond
accounts.
a reasonable doubt.
But yeah, right, beyond a reasonable doubt.
The other one is
civilly is like opinion, like subject. Yeah, right, right. Yeah. There you go.
Called the preponderance of evidence in civil.
So basically, the threshold is just less.
Yes.
That
preponderance
sucks.
of evidence is like we're just saying we're just dumping a bunch of evidence and saying.
So does the preponderance of evidence in whatever specific case lean more towards, yes, this person was responsible in some way, shape, or form?
Essentially,
it's a monetary.
And essentially, it breaks down to, it's a preponderance of evidence means it's more than likely true that this occurred.
Right.
Correct.
Which is
good question, though, Corey.
Which is kind of ridiculous, but
it is ridiculous. And poor OJ. I'm just kidding.
Poor OJ. Yeah. Poor OJ. Rest in peace, Uncle Juice.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, Greg. Go ahead.
So she's not out of the woods yet. But I think the bigger thing for this, and kind of where this conversation could go, because we've had a lot of legal situations happen over the course of the last really 2 weeks, but over the last 30 days for sure, in this country. But the big thing and the big takeaway from the Karen Reed trial here is how difficult it is to prove conspiracy. You know, I mean, think of this, like, how many years are we removed from JFK? We still don't know what the hell happened. They released all the shit on it. We still don't know what the hell happened to the guy. You know, it's so difficult to prove your way out of this, which is it's essentially the reverse of what our legal system is supposed to be, right? We're supposed to, the burden is supposed to always be on the state to prove with, without a shadow of a reasonable doubt that this person is guilty. They didn't do that in this case, in either trials.
And in that alone, that threshold alone, the justice system worked, right?
100%.
If you take it like that, you know, like they 100%. Couldn't prove it beyond a reasonable doubt, so therefore you can't convict. And I believe in that wholeheartedly.
However, we've all seen people convicted on much, much less evidence than they had substantiating that Karen Reed had killed John O'Keefe, right? So we've seen trials decided solely on circumstantial evidence, right? And not a lot of physical evidence. Not to say that those people were guilty or not guilty. I think that's for each individual trial and each individual state and everything that they're located in. But I think the big takeaway here is that if we're 4 of the 12 people sitting on the jury, right, is what does this say about the state of where we're at as a country, and where we're at with our justice system, and what kind of faith we have in our police, and what kind of skepticism we may have about when it comes to things like this, because this was obviously one of those from the onset where state police and maybe even federal agencies should have been involved right off the bat. You've got a murdered police officer lying dead in the yard of another police officer who was partying with several other police officers and a federal agent. And it just seems from the very first minute, we've got botch after botch after botch. And whether or not those are innocent botches by an inexperienced police department, we talked about them last week, or whether that is part of a greater cover up, hey, we protect our brotherhood and our fraternity around here,
blue wall.
But that's the thing, is those could just be botches, but what does it look like from
I mean, they got my man Steve Avery, so
didn't the FBI came in and investigated? I want to make a point here. They investigated the investigation. The FBI came in and investigated the police and the state attorneys.
But Greg's right. Usually
they didn't investigate the murder, but they investigated how.
But from the jump, and I'm a novice, but like from the jump, what I thought Greg was saying is a good point, because usually if it's like two police officers or different agencies, there's like, I forget the name of it, but there's some overarching agency, like a police.
It needs to be taken out of their hands.
That goes in, is that not what happened here? They
usually it's like the State Bureau of Investigation, which is the next step down from the feds. Right. The problem with that is in this case you had it led by a guy, the Michael Proctor, who was he was a couple degrees of separation removed from one of the witnesses and one of the people that was at the party. There were pictures of them together at some point years past.
Karen Reed or against her?
No, on the other side
against her. Yeah.
Right. You had this guy that was like sharing in group texts with all of his friends, like pertinent case information, talking dirty about Karen Reed, and all those texts became available, and everything became available when they grilled the guy in the witness stand in the first trial. So after the first trial, that dude from the State Bureau or the state police, their lead investigator got fired for all that. So
let me ask a question real quick, and this is for Greg and Sean. So let's say they did do it. How do you think it was a snowball fight that turned into a fist fight and then whoops, he's dead? Or do you think it was a nefarious plot? Like, what do you think happened?
I think personally, they
were part of the Illuminati, of course.
Yeah.
Besides the obvious,
the Massachusetts Illuminati. But no, one of two things I believe happened. I think that either one, the federal agent had a thing for Karen Reed. They'd been texting back and forth. All those texts were pulled up in the first trial.
They were brought out in trial.
They were brought out. So either he had a thing for her and couldn't stand that this dude was with her, or maybe the other more likely scenario is you've got a bunch of, for lack of a better term, like alpha-minded dudes, right? They're all cops, and there's a lot of alcohol involved.
Yeah,
and they're at a house party, and everybody in there
shovel to the head later, and motherfuckers dead out the yard.
And if you walk around, and this is no dig at cops, man. I know a lot of great police officers. If you walk around with the air of that you are untouchable, right? And then you add a shit ton of alcohol into the mix, right? I've been in that position before, and I was never a cop, you know what I'm saying? But like, you get a fifth of whiskey in you, and then somebody looks at you the wrong way, and you do some shit that you really regret, So there's just a lot that seems really fishy to me. Just looking at it, even if they take out like the fact that I, studied criminal justice in the past or whatever, just looking at it as just a regular layman, if you will, the injuries on his body look real weird. I've never seen anybody have get hit by the back of an aerodynamic vehicle and have cut marks that are parallel with each other, consistent with either a dog bite or some kind of scraping tool go right down his arms. It just doesn't. It doesn't look like
it could be like an imprint from the bumper or something. Like
it was because they have pictures of it. It's untouched.
I think to your question, Bill, I think there was something nefarious going on, and I think O'Keefe, I don't know if he was part of it or he caught on to it, or maybe he was part of it and then kind of was like the whole like, guys, this is way too far kind of thing. I think something like that happened. I think he was killed. I think they killed him to cover something up.
Right. It
like they weren't even partying. Like they lured him to the house.
No, I'm not. Well, maybe that's a good point. Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
I almost think that they were partying with him. Everything was cool. And then like something may have happened and he might've been like, guys, this is too much. We got to do something. I don't know. Something like that.
Because while he was a Boston cop, let's not forget, these are small town cops.
Right.
These are small town cops.
But why would they leave him out in the snow though? Like, why wouldn't they try to like?
Because that's the easiest. Because maybe the sister-in-law knew that Karen Reed had dropped him off. They knew that they had been fighting, probably because they were out drinking earlier that night. And she's venting that they've been fighting, and he's venting.
And they were arguing, I think, right? Weren't they having an argument or something outside of the house at some point?
They had been arguing for weeks. The relationship was on again, off again for weeks.
Well, just think about it. Let's say we're all drinking at a party, right? And Corey donkey punches.
I kill everybody there.
He donkey punches Greg outside, like they get in a fight over like a beer bong or something. He donkey punches Greg, and Greg just falls out in the snow and dies. Then we're like, shit. Me and Sean are like, shit. Like we can't like let Corey go to jail. That's our dude. You know what I mean? And Greg's dead. Well, we might as well at least keep Corey here. So we got to cover this shit up.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think.
So we frame Constantine is what we do.
Yeah. Or Gabby, I was gonna say, but yeah.
No, because then the kids would be no. We'd frame Constantine and allege like KGB Russian mafia activity.
Okay. All right. I think that makes sense. Like I could see that happening. I mean, like, we can't like two drunk cops and beat each other up or something. And did these other guys have marks on them or anything? Did they like check their bar? Or they didn't even probably.
No, nobody checked. Nobody checked. That's the thing. Is a boss from there. And again, I think the most telling thing. I said it last week. I'll say it again. One of the more telling things to me about the initial investigation is the fact that the dude whose house it was in is a police officer. There's a dead police officer in his front yard. The whole front yard is surrounded with other police officers, and he doesn't step outside. He doesn't come to his door.
Yeah, that's suspect.
He's hiding inside of his house.
What about this is from the little what about maybe he was drunk outside and got hit by a snowplow? That's what I was thinking. Could that have happened?
Well, and then there's the whole thing too, where with the timelines don't match up, because when Karen Reed left and they've got her leaving, they've got her pulling in, his Ring doorbell catches her pulling in to his house, right?
Did her vehicle hit him for sure? Like, do they know it? Or
we don't know.
It's debated. Yeah, okay.
The snowplow driver who's on that route passes the Albert house.
Okay.
30 to 45 minutes on his first pass.
Got it.
And does not see O'Keefe laying in the front yard.
And snowplow or not, if you hit a grown man with a fucking snowplow, like you're gonna.
Well, not even just that. Like it showed his snowplow rig. He first off, as you guys know, from when you ride or drive in a truck, you can see much more. Your field of view is much better. Plus, it showed all the lights he's got on this thing. It's like. it would have been very, very difficult to miss a man laying in the snow, a 6 foot, 200+ pound man laying in the snow, bloodied and dying, because he was right on the edge of the lawn by the road.
Well, another funny point is, how often do you think these happened back in the day before all the cameras and shit? Like, cops probably used to kill people all the time and get away with it. You know, we're just more privy to it now because there's cameras everywhere and everything like that.
I've gotten away with a few.
Corey's definitely gotten away with a few for sure.
Yeah.
Damn.
For sure.
I'm planning
Go ahead
3
and
more.
tell us about it.
Planning 3 more.
Them Jersey roads get real dark at night, boys.
Yep.
But
Very good,
I will
Greg.
say this, like, as far as everything is concerned, you know, however you feel about it, one thing we got to agree on is the fact her defense team did an absolute stellar job.
They
As
did.
far as
Oh,
as far as
she can't be tried again?
no,
Not on that.
property.
Not on that.
Well, what else?
They
could
would
do?
have to-
or double or a second
They
degree.
could they could come up with something. They could call it, you know, aggravated assault with a
conspiracy.
deadly
Yeah, they would
weapon.
have to. They would have to well, and this
That'd
is
be
the
embarrassing
bigger
though, if
problem.
they fail that again.
They charged her with
Yeah.
second-degree murder.
Yeah.
Second-degree murder still implies that she had intent to do something, regardless of whether or not she was intoxicated or not. That is extraordinarily difficult to prove. So why they would charge her with both manslaughter and second-degree murder? All the legal experts are saying that was the stupidest thing they could have done, because
Their story doesn't make any sense about her.
Could they
It
come
it
back
doesn't-
if this civil thing turns something up? Could they come back and charge her, let's say, for like 3rd-degree murder or 1st-degree murder?
They
Or
could,
is
but
murder
you gotta
completely off the
remember,
table?
with 1st-degree murder, you have to, that is a planned, premeditated event, right? You
I
have
just-
to have the intent and then the action of doing so.
I just mean would double, like, because it was 2nd-degree murder and manslaughter, would double jeopardy apply to all murder charges, or could they
No, it would
theoretically
apply to those specific charges.
Okay.
But to get to first now, you're like, that's a long bridge.
No,
3rd degree
you
would be, or aggravated assault with a deadly
Right.
weapon would be.
it would never make it past like the charging proceedings. It
And
would
the
never.
general public thinks she's not guilty, and they're not going to embarrass, but good question. But you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to, I would highly doubt that she would ever face charge again.
Well, Greg, you did a fantastic
it's like trying
job.
it's like trying to recharge your boy in Atlanta. Like, it's just not going to happen because
Who my what's his name? Young Thug.
what's his name again? Yeah, Young. He's a free man, dude.
I think he got into
Update.
some trouble though. I think something happened, but I don't
He's
know.
probably about to get in trouble right now. Who knows?
No way he got in trouble. It's not like him.
He's a good man.
Yeah.
Changed his ways. Greg, you did a fantastic job with that. Thank you. That really was. Let's. Janine would like to talk about another infamous rapper.
Did he
who's
do it?
on trial?
Yep.
What do you guys? Greg, great job. Really and truly, fantastic job. Thank you. Where do you guys want to take this next? Do we want to go?
I'll talk about it real quick.
Go ahead. Let's
'Cause
go.
I think I have similar opinions to you guys. Well, actually, I don't know. I think that they didn't prove anything really criminally in that trial.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Diddy.
We're now back
We're
to
on
P.
to-
Diddy now.
yeah.
P. Diddy.
We're on Diddy. All right.
Baby oil. All right. So I don't think they proved any crime, or the only crime they might have almost proved was that they were putting guys on the planes with drugs to go back and forth. And I thought maybe they would get that for like a racketeering or transportation federal offense, but they didn't. I don't even think they charged for that, so they didn't get that. As far as the witnesses, yeah, okay, it's embarrassing. It sucks, and I have a lot of. Like, I'm trying to be compassionate, but I also am trying to say that those women and the men involved left, came back. Like, you can't leave somebody. You can, but like what I'm saying is, to prove someone criminally guilty of something, like when you say, yeah, he did something, then you leave, you get distance from somebody, and then you come back into the ring again for more quote unquote abuse or whatever. It's just a hard sell. Like, I don't see it as
Well, and racketeering itself, which was one of the main charges, that's a very difficult thing to convict someone on. Extremely difficult.
That's like when you have that dot to dot and the draw on the strings. It's like all this stuff.
Right.
They didn't.
You have to
it.
have
It
a
was-
paper trail and like, yeah.
So
large level organization kind of stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys differ on any of that, but I don't know. Corey,
I got to be honest with you. I still find it hard to believe. Like, not hard to believe. I don't want to say hard to believe because by all accounts, like he was not a good dude, right?
Mhm.
But like when it all came up, I don't know. It was hard. It was kind of hard for me to believe, and I don't know why. I don't know why it was. Maybe it was because, and this is going to be kind of weird, but Puff Daddy, I can remember vividly growing up with my cousins in North Carolina, and they had the Puff Daddy and the Family album, and that was like my first foray into rap music, and like they taught me, and it was like this good memory that I have about rap music, and I don't have too many memories in general of rap music, but so it was like it was difficult for me to wrap my head around it, but my wife thinks he's 100% guilty. They just did a shitty job of proving it and didn't have enough evidence.
You know what the fact is, though? The fact is his name is Mud now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's forever. Just like
Yeah, but that dude's got so much. He doesn't care about that.
No doubt. But like, think about Michael Jackson, right? Can you have a conversation about Michael Jackson and not bring up all the allegations?
I agree.
You know,
it's a good point. That's
and
how we're going to be with you one day, Corey, when you pass away.
Well, it won't be those kind of allegations.
That's true. Good point. I'm sorry.
It'll be those 3 murders that I.
Right.
It was the murders. Yeah.
I have 3 big takeaways, I think, from the whole Diddy trial, and very much Sean. I mean that Diddy and the Fam album was
so good,
was phenomenal,
life changing.
1998 me is still just head over heels for it. But on the flip side, number one, weird, dangerous, crazy stories have always surrounded and followed this guy, right?
Really? See, I didn't know that though. That's why it was so shocking to me when this all came out.
Yeah, dude. They for years and years and years with the whole did he have a hand in Tupac being murdered? Did he have a hand?
Like everybody gets accused of that.
Did he have
everybody
a hand
killed Tupac
in murdering?
He's not dead.
Notorious B.I.G. You know,
him too.
No, he's dead.
So all of them, but
so
shady
he
stuff.
100% had a that was proven that he the
was
guy
involved.
Got criminally charged. You know, testified that he put a ransom on Tupac's head. So yeah.
Right.
What?
But the
rap
other,
music sucks.
When you find such an exciting story in rock, huh? Just when guys get drunk and fucking spit in each other's mouth.
Why are all these rappers killing each other and shit, dude? Like,
it's exciting.
In rock and any other kind of music, really, everybody's all happy and fucking getting along with each other and collaborating and stuff. No, I'm gonna kill you if you release that song. I will literally kill you. What the fuck, dude?
That's the fun part about it for us, not them.
Yeah.
But this guy, you know,
I don't want to be a SoundCloud rapper.
The nightclub shooting that got J-Lo all hemmed up. You know, like stuff's been following this dude for years.
And he's been noted to be like a predatory homo.
Yes.
Like, you know, like for a long time. Allegations.
Which, moving on to my second point, right? It is this again just adds more credence to all the stories you hear about these wild celebrity parties and all this weird shit that goes on, and you know, everybody loves, you know, the Illuminati's not real, all that kind of stuff. That may or may not be, but what is pretty apparent is all these rich weirdos like to do weird fucking stuff, right? In the late hours and the early hours, you know.
Is that just a money thing? Because like, I got to be honest with you, I don't think I'm that weird. You know, like
you have a shitload of money.
Well,
in any
Sean, are you gonna fuck Cuba Gooding Jr.? You know, at 2 a.m. one night after a
great
nice party,
actor,
or
by
what?
the way, great actor.
Sean, I've heard recent stories about him from locals, and he's a wild dude, man. He's a wild dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, dude, they got him on video, bro.
My man's on the loose.
Good.
His name's ringing bells out here.
But that's what I mean. Like you hear, like you said, all these in the wee hours of the night, all these famous people doing weird stuff. I'm sure there are non-famous people with not a lot of money also doing weird stuff in the wee hours of the night. But
is it that fathomable? Imagine you in your active addiction, you never get your shit together, but you continue to drink and make a shitload of money and have like every sort of woman or human being throwing themselves at you. Eventually, you're going to become kind of.
I don't know. Yeah.
But I think the money brings the power, and the power or the illusion of power gives you in your mind control over other people, right? And you can what you say goes. And if that whole attitude has been fostered around you, aka Diddy, for 2 decades, right? What Diddy wants, Diddy gets.
Cuba Gooding Jr. is a bad dude too.
Oh yeah.
Damn, dude. I truly didn't know that. That's sad.
But the biggest takeaway I think from this, and certainly a lot of other stuff that we've seen in the legal sphere over the course of the last 10 years or so, but makes it all the more important. And I say this coming from someone who has experienced stuff in my past. I won't get into it in this episode. There's not enough time, certainly. But, me and a family member experienced some stuff when we were kids. And one of the biggest regrets I think I have is not coming forward about that stuff. When you're a kid and you're getting messed with and stuff like that, there's a whole nother dynamic to it. But the fact of the matter is like, how can a jury, right? And how can people take things seriously when we're talking about things that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago? The evidence is gone. People's recollections of things get muddied up, and this is not me sitting out here victim blaming or anything like that, or whatever you want to call it. It's just the truth. If you want true justice in these cases, and if you want people to go to prison for what they've done, then you got to speak up on it. And like when it happens, guys, like not,
you can't come out of the woodwork years and years later.
And one of the biggest things I learned about getting sober, because I held so much hate and resentment based at that one individual, and somebody close to me said, like it's okay that you have these feelings and stuff like that. When are you going to stop letting them kill you? Because that's what it does, right? That's what trauma does. It just kills us, especially if we hold on to it and don't tell anybody about it. So it's like, for me, every time I hear one of these cases and it's like, this person did this, but it was 17 years ago, and we let Harvey Weinstein get away with, doing all this shit to women for 30 years in the movie business. Why did we allow it? So, yeah.
All I can think about is Jerry Maguire quotes from Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character, the Quan. Remember the Quan? It's the love, respect, community, the package, the money, the Quan.
What do we think about there's no Epstein client list? I think that came out today or yesterday.
I think that's a rabbit hole we don't have enough time to get down tonight.
No, quick. We can't.
I think the Department of Justice is no longer interested in justice. That's what I'll say.
Do we want to go into that, or did we want to touch on the one other trial that we mentioned earlier?
Wait, what was the other trial?
The Kohberger trial.
Yep.
Oh yeah,
the Idaho killer.
Yeah. That guy's a cold-blooded killer. That guy's making your fucking balls tingle.
I can't believe they made a deal with him. I mean, I can, because that's sometimes how prosecutors work. But what a power move for him, family, because now he doesn't have to tell anything.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he had to. Oh, he just had to admit to it. He didn't. That's
have to. That's a stipulation of the plea agreement, is that he doesn't have to give details to the family or to anyone.
Which is got all of the families involved like completely up in arms, because they found out in an email chain that was sent to all four.
They weren't asked about it, asked what they wanted. Or anything
but do
that.
Do we think he's gonna, like, we know why and everything he did, because they had all these time points on him and stuff. Like, we know he just did it because he's a sick fuck. I get.
Right.
Well, my point is, like, it's like almost like maybe they're like, let's just move on. Like, I know what you're saying, but yeah.
I don't know.
Like, maybe just spare it.
Well, I
because,
think
like,
that's what they're the prosecution is saying is that one of the reasons they accepted the plea deal, one of the main reasons was so that they could spare everyone from having to hear the details.
yeah. Sadly, his motive was like nothing. It was because he was.
But the family
like,
should have been consulted on that, I think, is the big point. Like,
for sure.
Yeah.
hey, this is what we want to do. We want to spare you guys this pain.
Yeah.
What do you think?
You got to ask. Yeah.
I think I'd want answers personally.
Yeah. If your daughter was brutally hacked to death,
I'd want to murder him actually,
yeah.
but
That too.
I would want something. You know,
I'd send Corey over there to take care of him.
Did you guys ever see the video of the guy there was a guy that got arrested for molesting this guy's son, and the guy hung out at the payphone. Greg, you probably saw this. And when they walked the guy in with the handcuffs, the dad turned around from the payphone. He set the payphone down. He turned around and he shot the guy right in the head.
whack that motherfucker.
That's the dad of the year. Look it up. That guy, father of the year.
To me, no harm, no foul. Like, yeah.
I don't even think I think he went to jail for like
a legal
year.
Kill. That's what we killers call a legal kill.
We killers.
Yeah.
Corey's in a bunch of serial killer chat
You
groups.
and P. Diddy?
Dude, no, but did you guys, I'm not trying to get off topic here, but it's kind of on topic. I recently found out, and Greg knows this already because he knows everything about serial killers. I recently found out that my favorite horror movie, Scream, was based off of the Gainesville Ripper.
Mm-hmm.
Up in
Who's a
Gainesville.
crazy
We talked
fuck.
about that. I think we mentioned that when we were last Halloween when we were doing all that stuff.
Oh, well, then I forgot or something because
That guy was nuts.
until the other day, I had no knowledge of it being based on anything. I thought it was just,
I thought
Yeah,
it
it was
was a
used as
combination of people, but I don't know.
I mean, the whole mask was just
Did you know
an idea. But
Texas Chainsaw Massacre was Ed Gein? Did you
yeah,
know that?
dude, I'm excited for
Okay.
that Charlie Hunnam thing to come out. But yeah, so anyway, I got some ideas for my next 3 legal kills.
Very good, guys. This was fun. This was a little different than what we've been doing. Part 2 this week. Greg, again, fantastic job. We could easily dive deeper on the Diddy stuff and the Kohberger stuff, and maybe one day we will. But
Tell
we do promise.
the listeners the truth that none of us are sober any longer, and that's why we're not talking about recovery anymore.
Well, also, we were going to do the podcast, listeners. We were going to do the podcast live in Pennsylvania, but Corey canceled at the last minute, so we can't do it. So we'll be back in the studio remotely next week.
If you do see me pop up in Pennsylvania, I'm telling you, it's not
In a
good.
mask, in a screen
in a
mask.
It goes to the-
Just spare my wife and unborn child, please.
Oh, they're fine. They're not on my list.
No, we do promise to have back to some recovery topics next week. We have a special guest scheduled for the end of this month. Someone outside of our friend circle, a real professional in the community. Really interesting guy. More will be revealed on that, and we look forward to it. We're good to have all 4. Good to be back, all 4 of us, guys. This was a fun episode. This is good stuff.
Yeah, speaking of, I need off next week. I'm just kidding. Shout out to our listeners.
Any parting thoughts? Anybody want to wrap up with anything?
No.
We got sports stuff. We haven't talked much sports at all. Like we do promise to get back on the YouTube channel with some sports stuff. We got baseball midseason coming. We could basketball is kind of old news by now. Hockey's kind of old news by now, but
Sucks.
Football's coming up, so we're gonna have some preseason and fantasy stuff coming up over the next few weeks and month or so. So please be on the lookout for that. You guys good? Anything else? Everybody all set?
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting adjourned. Very well. All right. Shout out to our listeners. Please like, follow, share on all socials at Trudge Report Pod. Email Corey specifically at trudgereportpod@yahoo.com. Send in your mailbag requests for topics, questions, comments to any of these handles. Remember, we are all here. If anyone wants to talk about recovery, how to get away with murder, and our experiences, or if you are struggling with some form of addiction. Thank you again to Janine and Stella Mix Podcast Management. Good night. God bless. And may you trudge the road of happy destiny. And thank God the statue of David is safe. We'll We'll see you next week.